I'm a fly fisherman. I know the solitude and peace that wash over me when I wade into the waters of a remote stream, get lost in the rhythm of my cast, and in author Norman MacLean's famous words, the hope that a fish will rise. I know the joy I feel when my efforts are rewarded. I know the satisfaction of releasing a hard-fighting trout back into the cold, clear water and watching it slowly swim away. Like so many in my generation, I never served in the military. I've never known the traumas of battle, the wounds or injuries sustained while defending my country, or the kindred bonds that form between those who have shared that life-altering experience. I just know that I have an unwavering support and respect for those that have. In the late spring of 2008, I was invited by a group called Project Healing Waters to Rose River Farm in the mountains of Virginia. I learned that this unique program introduced fly fishing and fly fishing activities to wounded and injured servicemen and veterans as emotional and physical therapy. That day, surrounded in the beautiful landscape of the Shenandoahs, I was awed, inspired, and moved as I watched the feelings of solitude, peace, joy, and satisfaction I know so well come over the participants as they cast their lines and tested their newfound skills in the waters of the Rose. As I stood on the banks 4 years ago and witnessed nature's miraculous role in the healing process of these soldiers, I decided I wanted to document the inspiring story of Project Healing Waters.
The Project Healing Waters mission is pretty simple. It's all about the physical and emotional recovery of our wounded soldiers and veterans through fly fishing, fly tying, and fly fishing outings across the country.
Really what we're doing is we're taking these kids who are, many of them may only have one arm. Many of them are wheelchair bound, and many of them have, they've lost both legs below the knees. But they've made the decision to re-engage society, and they're out here trying to learn something new. And water, as anyone knows, water is very therapeutic in its own right. So just being around water, standing in water, and the feel of a trout or any kind of fish on the end of your fly rod is just a powerful thing. And it really helps these kids recover and get on with their lives.
For those that are exposed to it for the first time, I especially like watching those folks because there's almost a wonderment in their eyes, especially when they hook up with that first fish and they realize, hey, I did that, and that fish is on that hook, and I'm going to catch him, and I'm going to let him go, and I'm going to have this whole experience. It's just heartwarming, it really is.
Project Healing Waters is one of the few where it seems like everyone, from the participants to the volunteers, to sponsors, everybody just gets so much out of it. It's really amazing. When you see these wounded guys, come out of their shell, get out on the water, a big smile on their face. I mean, there's nothing like it.
It's good to be back around people that can kind of relate to, the want to get out and really do things that they say therapeutical, but sometimes being out with the water and nature is more than that. It's almost like soul reviving.
Got started in 2005 down at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. I'd been in there myself, having a little work done. Couldn't help but see, as I was recovering, all the other soldiers, Marines, men and women that were recovering from some pretty traumatic injuries. And it got me thinking at that point in time, I had thought about retiring from my second career that was in private industry, and I was going to do a lot of catch-up fly fishing and bird hunting. And I said, well, let's see if I can get some of these guys, maybe they want to get out of here and go hunting or go fly fishing. As with everything, good intentions need direction, and I was floundering around trying to find the right door to knock on at Walter Reed to get with some of these veterans. or some of these wounded warriors. And I was introduced to Bill Howard. Colonel Howard at the time was running the occupational therapy clinic there at Walter Reed. I got introduced, come to find out he liked to fly fish, and immediately grasped the possibilities much beyond what I was thinking about, and opened up a whole different perspective for me of using fly fishing in all its many forms as therapy. At the same time, I met this guy, John Colburn, who had been probing around wanting to do some fly tying with the veterans, that he himself was a great fly tyer. So in working together with Bill's support, we got things rolling.
You came in with John Colburn in March of 2005, and you know, the thing that you were most interested in is you actually were interested in not just doing something that was a one-time gig, not a one-time thing. You wanted to do something working with soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen that really had a lasting effect, and you were very clear to me about that. And so it was just about getting started, you know, with these young men and women, and getting them out on the water and getting them tying flies.
I was approached by Colonel Howard, who was the chief of occupational therapy, and he said, "Hey, Lieutenant Forsyth, I'd like to introduce you to Captain Ed Nicholson, Navy retired. He would like to take some of you guys out fly fishing." And at first, I kind of perked a little, thinking, you know, fly fishing. You know, I was interested, but then I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do it because at that time I was still pretty beat up. You know, I was having a pretty tough time, both emotionally and physically. There was a lot of things that I was trying to do, just activities of daily living that I wasn't doing well. I just wasn't able to do yet. And so I thought, you know, I'm just really not going to do this. I really can't put myself through it right now. I don't want to fail. I don't want to make a fool of myself. I don't want to try one more thing that I used to do and not be able to do it. It's just too much. And so I kind of politely declined. And I talked about it with my mom, and my mom said, please just try it. Just for me, just please give it a try. And Colonel Howard persuaded me by saying, LT, you will go fish with Captain Nicholson. I said, yes, sir, roger that.
Well, it was easy because, you know, we had these patients who were interested in things other than just some of the other activities that we had, and had expressed an interest in fishing. And we had probably 3 or 4 patients particularly who we knew would be involved immediately.
I was introduced to Project Healing Waters by another soldier, wounded soldier at Walter Reed, who happened to be, I was an officer, he was an officer, and his name was Avon Forsyth, and told him about, hey, this fly fishing program, you got to come check it out.
Dave and I met in the OT clinic. He and I had similar injuries. We're kind of a mirror image of each other because my right hand is paralyzed and his left hand is paralyzed. So we always used to joke that if you put us together, you got one working guy, you know. But we were 2 young junior officers. Both of us had recently graduated Ranger School. So we had that in common. We kind of had that military leadership in common. And I wanted to get him involved. Especially having a similar injury, you know, I mean, I want to get everybody involved, but especially him. And he started fishing with us, and then very quickly I was able to rely on him to help me recruit others. So he became kind of my right-hand man, so to speak.
A patient jumped on board and very quickly transitioned, and this is the beauty of our program, transitioned from not just being a participant receiving what we do, but then turning right around and giving back and being able to help me in this particular case, and John Colburn too, who was the fly tying guy, help us not only recruit, but manage our program at Walter Reed.
I always think about the meeting that we had in our office, and it just warms my heart to know that things continue to go forward, because again, it's really about you know, how things get started and how people continue to want to be involved. And this is about fly fishing, and this is about something that an individual can do. that this is not about a one-time thing. This is about something that people do past when they're at Walter Reed, when they get outside the wire of Walter Reed and they return back to their own life.
I was injured in July of 2007. I was out on patrol with my battalion commander and battalion sergeant major. I got hit with a roadside bomb in the face. It took out my right eye. It blasted my frontal bone, my forehead out. My sinuses have been rebuilt. My palate was blasted out. My cheekbone was blasted out. All my teeth were replaced on my left side of my mouth. And I just remember during that time frame of trying to figure out what happened, you know, if I was going to live.
What's up, buddy? You want to go fishing? You want to go fishing?
Project Healing Waters, it gave me an opportunity to find that inner peace that I was really needing in the midst of a very dark storm. It was an opportunity for me to be by myself with nature and being exposed to many elements of nature that were kind of overwhelming my senses in a positive way, unlike the confines of a city and the confines of the mental chaos from PTSD, which are an overwhelming the senses in a negative way. The other side that doesn't get as much publicity is when we're in the midst of a snowstorm and we're all meeting together at Walter Reed, or we're all meeting together at the VA, and time flies. We're continuing to work on our dexterity, continuing to create bonds. Early on, when I first started trying to tie ties, it was virtually impossible. It took me a long time to do very menial tasks as far as getting going. It was a huge challenge when you're out on the stream and your hands are cold and you got this little bitty fly and you got this really small line. You're trying to make it happen with your eyes tearing up, or with my eye tearing up. It was challenging, but the reward is worth it, and it's what keeps you going, and it's what keeps you coming back, and it's the excitement of being with the guys, and the excitement of the camaraderie that goes with it.
Well, from that very inauspicious start at Walter Reed back in 2005 and 2007, we incorporated. We had an organization by then. We had a name by then. And we decided that in 2007, the board decided that we needed to expand our program to other places in the military hospital system and the Veterans Affairs hospital system. Our organization is inclusive rather than exclusive, and that means we don't just deal with the disabled veterans coming out of the current conflicts, but we work with all eras going back to Vietnam, and there may be even a few Korean War guys out there in the VA hospital system. And now it's just gone viral, so to speak. Our programs have popped up everywhere, and we now have well over 130. And the growth has been, over that fairly short period of time, fairly spectacular.
With cases of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, increasing at an alarming rate among our returning combat veterans, the importance of emotional rehabilitation in the VA system has never been more paramount. Project Healing Waters offers soldiers at the VA a unique opportunity to heal the mind as well as the body.
I knew exactly what I was getting into when I went in the military. There was no questions about it. When I volunteered or got picked and chose to go be a sniper in 82nd Airborne Division, I knew what that job entailed. Because I accepted what I was going to have to do and what could possibly happen to me and my soldiers, it didn't come as a shock to me when things actually finally happened. I got my first fly rod when I was 13 in Colorado at a Walmart, actually. Yeah, it cost me 25 bucks. I was on my way to a Boy Scout camp, and my scoutmaster was a big fly fisherman. And my mother gave me $100 just to make me last for the 2 weeks while I was in Colorado. So, me being the kid I was, I took that money and blew it the first chance I got it. So I bought a fly rod. Didn't know what in the hell to do with it. But that's kind of when I started. But I loved it. I remember I loved the aspect of fly fishing. When I got discharged from the military, I remember sitting in my apartment. I was just sitting there thinking, and my girlfriend told me, we need to find something to do, something that you really enjoy doing. And the first thing that came to my mind was fly fishing. I really loved doing it. So I looked on the internet, looked around fly fishing. You know, I don't know why, something provoked me to type in fly fishing for veterans, and Project Healing Waters showed up. And that's seriously how it basically got started. Just me being kind of in the depressed state that I was in, and then Project Healing Waters kind of found me, and it's been different ever since. So. It'll be 2 years in April. That's when I met Phil Johnson, who got me into the program. It's basically one of the first things that Phil Johnson had me start doing was tying flies. He seemed to think that fly tying might be more therapeutical than fly fishing is, and, you know, because it takes a lot of skills, a lot of motor skills. Truly takes your mind off everything. I'm actually addicted to it now. I can't stop doing it. I tie flies more than I study while I'm in class, so kind of counterproductive, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Fly fishing, one thing it's done for me, it's really helped me calm down. You know, I'd rather go fly fishing now than I'd like to drink. So I usually sit in my room at night and tie flies instead of going out to the bars and party. So I think overall fly fishing has made me a better person. It has allowed me to become more relaxed, and it honestly keeps me out of trouble, I'll tell you the truth. Yeah.
We've been told by people within the VA system that what makes Project Healing Waters unique is our classes. The fact that we have regular, ongoing contact with the participants. And it's during those classes that a great deal of relationship building and camaraderie takes place. And that really is the nuts and bolts of Project Healing Waters.
The outings, the events, the fishing events, the things that we do in the field, of course, are the frosting on the cake. But the cake is the program, and the program is built around the classroom environments. It's all about our volunteers going to the various hospitals that are located around the country where we have programs, and working with the staff at those hospitals to introduce our program to the disabled veterans and the wounded warriors, and teach them the skills of being a fly fisherman. We teach them the fly fishing 101. We teach them how to tie flies, teach them how to build rods. We just started a program where we're teaching them how to build their own leaders. So you put all of this together, and it builds a tremendous amount of interest in the program that then translates to being a better fly fisherman. It's just all part of the program. I emphasize the program over the events. And the events, of course, are important, but the program, the classrooms, and all of that goes before.
Well, my left hand was paralyzed for a little over a year. And as my function in my hand started coming back, I had to learn how to use what mobility my hand had left. So being able to, whether it's tying flies on my line or actually tying flies on a vise, being able to compensate and overcome, you know, some of the difficulties that go along with that. And yeah, it's difficult, but the sense of accomplishment you get after you're doing that is pretty awesome, and kind of helps you move forward. And well, if I can do this, I can definitely do other things in my life that I can overcome.
I admit wholeheartedly that I looked at the fly fishing, particularly the tie flying, as well as the fishing aspect, as a mastery task for our amputee patients. Now, we all know that it wasn't just about the amputees, because that's an important piece. The patients who we take care of have more injuries other than just amputations. But very specifically, it's a mastery task for them to use their terminal devices.
The fly tying classes are incredible because they help out with those who may have concentration problems or fine motor skills, problems they be dealing with. Fly tying can help out with that, but other than that, just fly tying is an awesome way to sit down and spend time with your peers and veterans.
They're a great help. One, I have a TBI from my injury, so I'm not. My motor functions were kind of off when I came back. Now they're progressively getting a little better at a time. It's real helpful that way. It got me out among other veterans. I got used to being around people again, something I wasn't used to for quite a while. And being around someone who's showing me how to make something that's pretty much art, it's truly wonderful.
That's a pretty nice fly. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's very good, very good, very good.
Unique aspect of our classes has been to develop a rod building competition, where it's first and foremost a rod building class, and we teach participants how to put together a rod from a blank and from cork grip, and how to wrap all of the furls and how to paint, finish the rods off. And the classes take about 2 to 3 months to build the rod and have it perfected. I don't know about you, but every time I tie a fly, I remember the last big fish I caught with that fly. So I understand full well the kind of magnifying, multiplying impact that that fly tying or rod building has on each of these individuals.
And it's like a full circle. If you get a guy that ties his own fly, builds a rod, and then goes out and fish and catches a fish, that's a pretty neat thing. It's really fulfilling and a sense of accomplishment.
I was on Iraq for 13 months, as an infantry soldier. So I was a machine gunner, and you hear the same story. Obviously there's some stuff going down there. So you come back home and you don't really know how to deal with that. So there's lots of just craziness going on in your head, and then you take losing a limb, and that just makes it all the worse. So I had lots of depression, lots of depression.
It was interesting what happened with Josh, because I remember one day meeting his mother in the chow line there, and remarking that Josh would be going home with her for the holidays, and he walked off. And then the mother said, "I don't know what to do with Josh, because he doesn't want to come home. He doesn't want his friends to see that he's lost his arm." And I said, "Well, we'll work on that." And I think Project Healing Waters, well, I think it helped him bridge that particular gap. Obviously, he went home eventually. He went to school, he's got a job, he's got married, he's got a child.
Josh and I have been married for almost 4 years. I feel like Project Healing Waters has helped Josh psychologically, emotionally, physically. It gives him a sense of pride and pride in himself, that he can do something very, very difficult with one arm. A lot of people can't do what he does with two. So it gives him a sense of accomplishment and pride.
Like when they finally got me to fish, I didn't want to fish at first because I'd never fly fished before I lost my arm. I always thought it looked too hard. They convinced me, to get out there and at least try it. And I instantly liked it. And so I said to myself, okay, I can actually still do this. And that opened up just all kinds of positive
positive thoughts. If I caught something, I had to get somebody else to pull the fish off, or if I snapped off, my fly, I couldn't tie the fly on. So if I ran out of tippet or snapped a line or whatever, no matter how long I had been fishing, I had to just throw the rod in the truck and go home. And that got old, so through the dexterity that the casting taught me, I decided that I'd try to learn how to tie a fly on. And I mean, honestly, I would have never tried that if it hadn't been that I was fly fishing. And so I finally learned, and I mean, it took me a while, but I learned it's like second nature to me now.
For a long time, I think that tying flies was something that Josh thought he couldn't do because it is a tedious thing to do. And one night at a meeting, he just one of the project leads asked him if he would tie a fly and just try it. And I think at first he was really nervous and thought that he couldn't do it. And I think it was a woolly booger maybe.
So I just tried to tie a woolly booger, and it was so ugly. Oh my gosh. But I knew, I knew that I could do it. I was like, okay, I could actually tie it. It may look ugly, but I know that's just this, I'm lacking the skill. Learned a woolly booger, and then learned a griffin's net, and then just progressed from there and started trying new and harder flies. And I guess after a year and a half maybe of tying, I had some people saying, I would buy some of your flies. And so I was like, are you serious? So I decided maybe I should tie some to sell people. So now it's now it's been a few years. It's good. I've really enjoyed the whole process of it. There's nothing that I couldn't do if I wanted to. Everything else is just simple now. Like tying my shoes. I mean, it's second nature, and that's what it taught me. Like Project Healing Waters, it's not just about healing. I mean, it taught me how to do something that I already knew. It taught me how to do it in a different way, to learn how to do something in a different way. And from there, it was like a daisy chain. It just one thing after another, and it just spread over everything. So now, like I said, it gave me a lot of confidence.
It made him see that he can do so much more than he ever thought he could. And again, it gives him a sense of accomplishment and something he has grown to love. And through Project Healing Waters, he was able to do that. Otherwise, he never would have tried it, ever. So we're really, really thankful for that.
Bo Beasley is a volunteer and outdoor writer who is penning a new book on the Project Healing Waters program.
It's very humbling to write about people that have sacrificed so much and are now coming back from the battlefield, and they have reconnected through Project Healing Waters. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that Project Healing Waters is a fly fishing organization, and it's not. It's an organization about people. It's about veterans helping other veterans adapt to a new form of normal. That, in one of the interviews I did for my book, one of the veterans said, I had to learn what the new normal was for me. And this organization, unlike anything else I've ever seen, helps veterans relate to each other and their new normal, and they just happen to do it through fly fishing. And it's amazing. Once you see it, that there's nothing like it anywhere. They have been able to learn how to reconnect through this organization, and Project Healing Waters really does focus on healing people. And fly fishing is just a part of that.
The whole business of Project Healing Waters, you could use the word serendipity. That's what it's all about in my experience. I get a call from this guy, Gary Morfitt, 5-6 years ago. He said, I've got a boat up in Alaska. I'd like to take veterans, disabled vets out. He himself was a Vietnam vet, and he gets these guys up there. We select them. He selects some himself now that he's been in the program for a while. He's established those kind of close relationships with the individual that he's taken up there, and he's turned it into something far more than just a trip to Alaska going fishing. Gary is a wonderful individual and has mentored these guys, and some ladies too, way beyond just taking them fishing. He's got them working on their boats. He's doing a lot of great things, so it's a very important program. And Gary runs it pretty much on his own.
Now, Bill has been in float planes before. He's going to take his chair with him. If in fact he sees when we get on that he cannot do it the way we're doing it, we'll do it the old way. We'll get him here, we'll put him in the dinghy and float the dinghy out behind.
So I don't think it'll be a
You
problem.
think this is going to be good, Bill?
Yeah, as long as the pontoon's in that close, I think I can transfer that and go right down to the pontoon.
Now you're all
the
going
ladder.
to be wearing your life vest before you even get on here.
I mean, I've been fly fishing now for about 5 years now, and well, since I lost my arm, and very rarely have I ever been able to catch a fish on the dry. It's one of those situations where you have to be in the perfect situation, perfect time of day, in the middle of a hatch, and have the right fly, and you know, it hardly ever happens, you know, for me. And to be able to do it with a cutthroat was amazing. I'd see where they were rising up, I'd place it 6 feet in front of them, and they'd jump up and grab it. It was great.
Oh, eat that. He's got it, he's got it.
This is awesome. If you've never been to Alaska, you definitely have to come. This is fun. I can do this all day. For the rest of my life, I can be content and happy.
Yesterday was great. We started off good and it just got better all day. We used a fly tied by a veteran, and it just brought the day to a fantastic conclusion. Every time I put that fly in the water, I was getting a strike, and I just caught and released everything in the area. We had so much fun, so it built to that climax, and I've never had a better day of fishing. It's just an outstanding program, and I don't know of anything more therapeutic or better that can take somebody from a hospital setting out and actually catching fish. A lot of these guys fished before, and after the loss of a leg or both feet or an arm, they don't know if they can fish again. And when they discovered that they can, and not only that they can, but they can maybe fish better than they did before with the instruction provided, then they really get excited, and it just, you can see the change.
It's helped me a lot to help deal with my PTSD. It's one of the few activities that I can actually do that allows me to calm down. My anxiety level goes down. My frustration and anger about my disability goes away. You know, I love being outside and doing activities like this, and you know, what better place, you know, in Alaska.
I remember laying on the ground after I got hit in Iraq, and from a few moments there, I was like, I may never have a chance to be married. I may never have the chance to have kids. And when that's going through your mind, I mean, because I was bleeding out bad. I mean, I was starting to pass out, and you have all those emotions go through you, and it's overwhelming. And you know, to have gone through that and to be where I'm at today, where I have a beautiful wife, I have a beautiful 1-year-old son, it's a fulfillment of my dream.
After years of contributing to the evolution of Project Healing Waters as a participant and volunteer, David is now head of operations for the group.
So I manage all the different operational aspects of Project Healing Waters, whether it's planning the big trips we go on, whatever special events we got going on. I support our programs directly, getting equipment orders in, whatever our volunteers need to run the programs at the VA medical centers. Many other hats I wear, because when you work for a nonprofit, just because your job description doesn't say you do something doesn't mean you don't do it. You do whatever it takes to move things forward, and we're always doing many different types of jobs and tasks. So it's a lot of work, but it's very fulfilling work. Hey Sandy, yeah, the Falling Spring Invitational was May 19th and 20th. I guess part of my motivation in moving forward, being positive, is that, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 of my brothers and sisters in the military did not come home. And since I made it, you know, I feel obligated. I need to live my life as best I can. And, you know, I've been given a second chance, and I need to, you know, take hold of that and you know, and do everything I can to live my life. And one, help others, give back, and be an example the best I can, you know. As I'm still here.
I never served, but I grew up in a military household. My dad was just 17 years old when he enlisted in the Marine Corps during the last months of World War II. He narrowly and thankfully missed out on the heavy combat. My grandfather was not so lucky. He was part of the American Expeditionary Forces sent to France at the height of the First World War. Grandpa fought in the trenches of Alsace and the Marne before he took shrapnel and was mustard gassed near the Belleau Wood. He spent weeks in a French field hospital before he returned to the trenches. He came home from the war in Europe and waged his own lifelong battle with alcoholism and what they used to call shell shock, but what we now call post-traumatic stress disorder. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away before I was born. I only know him through his old letters, his journals, and the stories my mother told me. He was a fisherman like me, and I often wonder how Project Healing Waters might have helped him find some peace and solace from the horrific memories that haunted him throughout his life. A short drive from my grandfather's hometown of Grand Rapids, the storied clubhouse of the Flint Rainbow Club sits high on the banks overlooking the legendary Pierre Marquette River. At the peak of fall each year, a few lucky Healing Waters participants from all over the country gather at the club to chase colored-up trout, hard-charging steelhead fresh from the Great Lakes, and huge salmon on their final journey to spawn in the gravel of the Pere Marquette and the nearby Manistee.
Our club got involved with Project Healing Waters by my bumping into a fellow by the name of Ed Nicholson, the founder of the organization, in a small airport in Bariloche, Argentina. We struck up a conversation, and I offered our club and our membership, and without asking, I offered all the guides in the area, the professionals, to host an event here. We have 2 miles approximately of the flies-only section of the Pere Marquette River. I and my cohorts had the opportunity to watch the healing process take place that we knew nothing about. We were totally unaware until we had the time to sit down and listen to these wonderful people who volunteered, came back with not only physical but mental damage. And I am one of the proudest guys in the United States of America that I can help, through Project Healing Waters, introduce them to and cause their skill sets to improve fly fishing the Pere Marquette River in Michigan and the Manistee River and others. I took Brian steelhead fishing 3 days ago. He had never been steelhead fishing before. He had never caught a fish over 16 inches.
We thank the Healing Waters and Association. It's time to go. Bless us through their body.
It's a great time and a great day to give thanks, and we're having Thanksgiving dinner a little early tonight.
Awesome.
To say thanks to those of you who gave of yourselves in more ways than we can even imagine, but kept us all safe. God love you, God bless you, and I can tell you that there's no one here that will ever forget.
It actually worries me because I'm involved with fishing, with hunting, with some programs, some organizations that are doing as much as they can to raise funds from our fellow Americans and to help out our wounded. And with the wars winding down, and with the problems the nation has right now, the fiscal problems and the economic issues, I fear there's going to be a natural tendency to see Vietnam and Iraq and all things associated with Vietnam and Iraq in the rearview mirror. And if that happens, I'm really concerned that some of these folks that have seen a lot of effort directed their way to help them with recovery and getting on through transition and again into a sustainment phase may be left high and dry. Let's not let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we made some mistakes about how we treated our servicemen and women after Vietnam. This time we've done a wonderful job. But there's a bear trap out there. There's a pitfall out there that says if we then say, okay, let's move on, the war's over, we've done what we can, let's move on to other issues, then we will have done them a serious injustice because they're simply going to need us for a long time to come. And I think that as a nation, we owe that 1% that's worn the uniform and borne the burden of battle something more than saying, okay, we helped you for a while, now you're on your own, and we gotta move on. We just can't let that happen.
What do you see for the future of Project Healing Waters?
Well, when we first got started, of course, it was just Walter Reed, and then we got into the VA system, the major hospitals. And at the present, of course, with 100 and some chapters, we're looking across the VA where we really see our growth continuing. There are 150 or so major medical centers within the VA hospital system, but within each of those centers, most of them have outlying satellite operations, vet centers, community outpatient clinics, and the like. So if you look at the total numbers, there are probably 500 or more different places where you could go within the VA system. Our goal is to get our program established in just about every place we can within the VA system, which means that we could continue to grow, 120 now, 130, 200 or more. Really, it's limited only by the ability to find volunteer base at those locations and the willingness of the VA systems and the various locations to engage us.
I get choked up when I really take a look and recognize what this program has done for so many warriors. Because I can tell you that there was a point in my life when I was very almost disappointed that I survived, because I thought, if I can't do the things that I used to do and I'm gonna be this way, I wish that I hadn't made it. And it's difficult for people that haven't been there to understand that when you take a population of warriors that are they're so physically able, they're so independent, and they come home wrapped in a sheet in some of the most pain they've ever been in their entire life, and they're gonna have to be dependent for certain things for the rest of their lives, that's a common feeling, a common sentiment that you'll hear is, I wish that I just would have bled out on the battlefield. It's a very powerful thing. And so Project Healing Waters, for me, it saved my life. It really did. I mean, the first time I caught a fish, and when I was able to get on these outings and fish again, my family noticed a huge difference. I mean, it really brought me back. And so it makes me so proud that we have built this program with, thousands of supporters and even more warriors, and turn them around so that they're happy that they survived, or that they feel fortunate to have survived. So I understand how much of an impact something that seems so insignificant to other people can have on your life. And so I'm very, very proud of not only the supporters for stepping up to support, but also the participants for being brave enough to try it and give themselves a chance. And so I'm very, very proud of what Project Healing Waters has done to help these warriors.
Healing waters, save my soul, cleanse my